Welcome, everyone, to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're a fan of the show and have been listening recently, you'll know that the subject matter continues to evolve in the direction that I said it was several shows ago, and that is we're going to start looking at politics, continue to look at politics. It was at once a taboo topic for this show. It was only business focused, and decided to open the door to politics. It's so interesting right now, such interesting races, very strong opinions, and I think some really great candidates out there. One of the consistencies that I found in What's Working since beginning these political conversations is the people saying we need to make sure that good people want to and are protected when they run for office. We need to find these people. The governor of Oklahoma was very clear to say one of the keys to successful politics in the United States is making sure qualified and good people want to run for office. And so, where I can, I try to help champion these people. On the show today is Christina Woerner McInnis. The Woerner Turf Farm is famous in Baldwin County and across different parts of the country, and Christina is one of the children of that family. She's been on the show before. She had a very innovative product that she created and won quite a few awards across the nation for that product. And now she's throwing her hat into the ring for agriculture commissioner. Let's see, the official title is the Office of Alabama Department of Agriculture and Industries. And she's running for that position. She's a good lady. She's intelligent, smart, and if I can find a way to help these people, regardless of their party affiliation, run for office, then I want to do so. So when we come back from break, you're going to meet Christina McInnis, and we'll hear about what made her want to do this, what her platform is. I'm going to ask her if she'll tell a little bit of the story about another time that let me say this correctly. Every one of the politicians or candidates that I've had in these interviews have talked about the threats that they've received, death threats, etc. Christina has too. And we'll talk to her, if she's willing to talk about it, about this one instance in particular and what she had to do to call this guy off and what's happened as a result. We need to protect our candidates. We need to make sure that those that threaten them get what's coming. And we'll hear what happened to Christina. When we get back, Christina McInnis, candidate for the Office of Alabama Department of Agriculture and Industries, better known as the Ag Commissioner. We'll be right back. This is Cam Marston. Poor communication is costing your business, and it's because many leaders don't have the skills to communicate well. Productivity's sinking and you're losing sales. Teams are frustrated. So I created the Generational Insights Communications Academy to train leaders to communicate effectively with anyone in any situation. Fix communication breakdowns, build the company you deserve. Enroll your leaders today at cammarston.com/GICA. We're back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. Thank you so much for joining us on another What's Working. Sitting across from me today in the studio is Christina Woerner McInnis. She and I have been buddies for a while. She's running as a candidate for the Office of Alabama Department of Agriculture and Industries. She represents something different for this office, and we're going to get into what makes her different. And one of the keys you just heard, a female running for this office, and she's a good bit younger than the rest. Christina, thank you so much for your time. Welcome back to What's Working.
Thanks, Cam. I'm looking forward to it today.
Tell us what made you want to run for office, and this office in particular.
So Coach Tuberville and Commissioner Rick Pate asked me to a Farm Bill roundtable. And if you know anything about the Farm Bill, it's a huge bill that really covers the backbone of our nation. And we all sat around the round table and we discussed many issues. And this is a bill that, if you're looking at all of the different details, 80% of it is SNAP. So there's really no farm left in this Farm Bill. So when you're sitting around talking about a bill that's going to go into over a decade, and we had kicked the can down 3 years making Band-Aids, I got to have a chance to really talk about things we're going to be looking at 10 years from now. And so it was really exciting. And I had already served in public service for the commissioner for City of Orange Beach for planning and zoning. Had no idea that I loved to be a public servant, but thoroughly enjoyed that job. And as I'm sitting around that round table, my brain just started igniting on all the things that we could do to protect farmers and protect everyone who's affected by the Farm Bill. So when Rick Pate termed out, I said, you know what? I'm at the right place doing the right office for my skill set.
Yeah. And did you see this opportunity coming for a while? Is it something you've kind of been preparing for, or did it just kind of show up quickly?
No, I have been preparing for politics and public service for goodness since about 2019. So I hired a consultant to kind of brief me on what I should be doing to be an industry thought leader. And so I've been really maturing myself, evolving myself, but wanted to watch for the right race and not just take a race because I could win it. I wanted to take a race that was good for the state or the nation, but also I could pour my skill sets into do a really great job.
What are your skill sets? You've mentioned them twice. What do you think you bring?
So first and foremost, I know this is crazy, but yes, I'm a farmer. I'm a fifth generation farmer. I get told that all the time. You don't look like a farmer. I guess that's because I'm a girl. I'm not sure. But I was raised on the back of a tractor. I was born and raised in Alberta, and I saw row crops. I've seen livestock. But the most important thing I can remember, my mama and daddy, I had all of that foundation. I could pull a calf. But they put me behind the desk and in school because they said that my brains was going to make everything so much smarter on the farm. So I got tossed into the business side of the farm. And in doing so, learning your financial statements and all of that, that's the backbone. But then I ended up launching Agritech, which was a ag technology software company, and now work nationally with Lowe's. I work with Site One. And having all of that gave me great knowledge and skill sets to be able to put that to work for the state of Alabama, because I've learned policy. I've learned how to run a business. I've learned the things that go behind what some people kind of disregard of, oh, that's just the ag office. It's not. The Commissioner of Ag and Industries touches almost every Alabamian every day.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of business that goes behind this office. You're not looking for an ag commissioner that can drive a tractor and wear a hat. However, I do have a really good looking hat, and I can drive some tractors. What you're looking for is someone who's going to be smart and polished and good at business working on the state of Alabama.
So we see the campaigns that you're running. We see what your competitors are running. But like other people out there, I suspect they didn't know, like I didn't know what it exactly is that the Commissioner of Agriculture and Industries does. We see the campaigns, we see the posters and the billboards and everything. Why don't you update listeners on what the reach is of this office?
So I'm hearing all over the campaign, wow, you educated us so much. So let's talk about that. The Commissioner of Ag and Industries office, well, let's call it the ADAI, Alabama Department of Ag and Industries. They are at the gas pump. If you gas up 1 gallon of gas, 1 gallon of gas is going in your car. It's very much considered a regulatory office. We'll talk about growing the industries at the end, but it's at the gas pumps. So for instance, I was at the grocery store the other day and they were weighing my sandwich and my salad. It's on that scale. I'm checking out at Piggly Wiggly, and at the self-checkout, it's at that self-checkout. Look next time. Look for the little labels that are at the gas pumps on the scales, and they're everywhere in your self-checkout. So they're regulating so many things on weights and measures. And then, of course, they're working on fertilizers and stuff. So, for instance, I have to have a fertilizer license in the state of Alabama because I sell certain fertilizers. They oversee pesticides. They also oversee a lot of what goes into public school nutrition. So they touch from public school cafeteria to gas pumps to self-checkouts at the Piggly Wiggly.
Mm-hmm.
The Department of Ag is in a lot of different places.
It really is. I didn't realize how much it was. Mostly a regulatory role, it seems like. And is your hope, Christina, to continue the regulatory part of it, or do you want to take the Department of Agriculture and Industries to someplace new?
So definitely want to maintain all the regulatory and do a great job of that. But what you really want is this next ag commissioner to grow the markets. So let's talk specifically, since this is predominantly considered an ag. You want to make decisions that are good for the Alabama farmer and good for the Alabama children, going back to Farm Bill with SNAP as well as the public school cafeteria. So we, and Commissioner Pate actually did a really good job So many of our children were going through our public school cafeterias and never even eating any Alabama food while they were there. So continue to make that program, continue to put more Alabama, and our number one food commodity, just so you know, is poultry. And since I do have 4 kids and my kids eat in the public school cafeteria, they remind me that when I call it poultry, it's called chicken.
Right.
So
thanks, kids.
We want to see more Alabama poultry and chicken going into the families and to our schools. So I want to grow the marketplace. I have a 5-point plan. I've kind of been nicknamed that smart girl on the campaign trail who's got a plan. So my 5-point plan is, 1, I'm really going to make sure we have a seat at the table for the farm bill. Most people don't realize this, but there's very little farm left in that farm bill. And you've got $123 billion being spent annually, and at least $99 billion of it, almost 80%, is SNAP. Mm-hmm. So in the state of Alabama, here, you stand behind a family at the grocery store, and you can buy energy drinks and margarita mixes, but yet you can't buy a rotisserie chicken.
I've heard this, yeah.
I mean, Alabama grows some of the best chicken, and then you value add that. And I was just, again, at the Piggly Wiggly the other night, and I stood at 5:02 right after people had finished, and I had 2 moms buying a rotisserie chicken in front of me. Why? Because you can feed a family of 4 2 meals, and it's incredibly nutritious. So to have that not available for children who need it the most, I mean, think about the children in Alabama. Just so you know, national average of SNAP is 13%. Alabama is 15%. So we are higher than the national average, and the children who need the nutritious product the most that product does not qualify for them.
Why?
I think when it was made, number one, I don't know if rotisserie chicken was really a thing when it was kind of created, but then also they considered that a hot food. But other states have filed waivers. You have Arkansas and Tennessee. And what happens is you just apply to a waiver, and then you're able to get that singular item added to it. Yeah. So there's a lot, but Kim, there's a lot of questions right now in government where we go, why? You know? And so that's my job as a candidate, is to help make solutions that are common sense for families.
So you said there's very little farm in the farm bill anymore. What is the opportunity for that farm? What is that 20% of the farm bill? 80% of it is in SNAP, 20% of it is elsewhere. What's going on with that 20%?
So the One Big Beautiful Bill did help a little bit with this. So what happened is base acre prices and reference prices were so low. So like, let's say you planted a crop and something came about, a weather event or something, just you didn't get the money for it. The government steps in and supplies a certain offset. Well, when the offset was so low to begin with, I mean, Cam, you're looking at the tractors are like 3 times the cost of what this farm bill when it was created. The input cost of fertilizers and nutrients are through the roof. The land cost, if you don't have family land to go buy land. So farming has become so expensive, and the reference prices and other things weren't keeping up with it. So now One Big Beautiful Bill did, but it's very little out there. And I'll say this about farmers, though. I'd have to give them credit on this. Farmers aren't looking with their hand out. But that farm bill needs to be there for disastrous situations to protect the farmers, because if we're not protecting our food source, that's a national security issue. And then also sometimes farmers just need you to help plant the seed to get a project started too. Yeah. And so that we're working in the right direction, but I can tell you this, there's a lot more work that needs to be done.
It seems to me that there's a great challenge in front of you, in that the people who are involved in agriculture in the state, who understand the details of what you're talking about here, who live it a little bit, are in the minority. Yet most of the voters are in metropolitan areas. People like me who don't understand the significance of what it is that you do, which makes it a campaign challenge to communicate this type of thing. How are you trying to do that? Are you spending most of your efforts as a campaigner in the rural areas in hopes that the message gets to the urban, or you go into the urban areas to say, hey, this is more important to you than you think it is? I mean, it seems like a great challenge.
So you're right. When you're with the ag groups, you're preaching to the choir.
Right.
Okay. So here's what happened. So I have 4 children, 2 are in college. They bring their friends home. These kids have no idea potatoes are grown in the ground. Okay. Their eggs are getting Uber dashed from Publix. Okay. But the reality is when you're looking at how many times you put a fork or a spoon to your mouth is multiple times a day, and that requires a farmer. So I'm actually, I guess a good example would be with you, because what I'm trying to do is reach the masses statewide that are there at the voting polls. They're the mechanics, they're doctors, they're teachers, they're not in the farming industry. And they said, hey, look, I need to go down ballot. This matters. Christina is going to step up and do what's best for the Alabama farmers and do what's best for our children in state and move our markets forward. Because I can tell you this, we're going to be looking at some hot topics of biosecurity issues. I mean, you saw what COVID did to just us, okay? Yeah. Picture something like that coming on top of like avian flu and other thing. We've got biosecurity issues coming. We have AI coming. We need to be talking about how is AI moving us forward as an agriculture in a state. I mean, I work with the University of Florida. They have a whole AI Ag Institute that they just broke ground on and cut a ribbon 2 weeks ago.
No kidding.
Leading, I mean, just really pushing into that next generation as where ag is going. And of course, that's what I do with big companies nationwide like Lowe's and SiteOne. And we write complicated algorithms for technology. So you feel like you're doing the simple experience.
Right.
But in fact, behind the scenes, it's very complicated. It's data driven and decisions are made by data. So we need to be touching everyone to say, hey, look, if you need to go to the gas pumps today or you need to eat, this office matters to you.
Yeah. And you want to make this more of a regular part of the voters' lives, what it is that you do.
Yes.
And what has been the reception of the people you've talked to about this thus far? Are they curious of what you're doing? Are they celebratory of what you're doing?
Well, I get all different kinds of emotions. So number one, I get a lot of shock, to be honest with you, when I sit down and say, hey, look, China owns 400,000 acres of our land.
Yeah, you told me that before the microphones were on. I had no idea. And by our land, you're talking about Alabamians' land.
Well, no, nation. I'm so sorry, nation. But 1 out of 4 hogs in the United States is owned by China.
Yeah.
So when you really sit back and look at the land we're selling, okay, sell the land and then sell the food companies off, the big food companies, and then suddenly you realize you wake up one day and a country turns adversarial, you realize that you're a slave to somebody whose hand that feeds you.
That's right. That's right. It's an extraordinary. I've been up in the upper Midwest a number of times, and they've driven me through to say this and this and this is all owned by China. And it's shocking. I had no idea the influence there. And it's one of the roles that you will play in this is can you prevent it? Can you buy it back? Are you just trying to make the public more aware of it? In regards to the China's ownership, what is your reaction to that?
So both. Alabama did do a good job a couple of years ago that stopped the sale of the land. And then now China is renting the land. So they had to go back and modify it and say, okay, no renting around military sensitive areas, but they're still able to rent. And then on top of it, what's happening is, and you can read about this in the paper, they will actually come, I think it's called purple maize. They will come to the field, steal seeds out of the field. And
I've heard about this. Yeah. I've seen documentaries on this.
And then on top of it, think about intellectual property.
Right.
Okay. So then you have high academia that come to the very end stages of, let's use one of my ag projects. By the time we finish it, it'd be probably 8 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars into it. And then you have somebody in the university system come in, or actually you'll see a story, USDA, I think, just sent back 70 tied to the communist government, coming in the final stages of it, learning everything you've done, spent all this money on, and just walking out the door with intellectual property.
Isn't it amazing that what we're talking about is espionage? Mm-hmm. And they have kernels of corn hidden on their person or in their luggage or something like that. And it's truly espionage. And it's not exactly what you'd think someone campaigning for your role would have to deal with it, but that's the world today.
It's the world today. And then again, going back to the biosecurity, you saw what happened when COVID was released, and we don't really fully know the effects of how that's going to affect us. Well, then what happens when you've got, the New World screwworm trying to come up through Mexico, you've got avian flu, and then you have all of this. I mean, it's a huge issue that's coming at us and threats that can happen to us. And if we don't protect the food source, again, we will be a slave to a hand that feeds us.
Let's talk about the next generation of farmers. It's point 3 on your plan. Are there next generations of farmers out there? Tell me what you see. What does the future of farming look like when it comes to farmers themselves?
Okay, so Alabama's number one industry is agriculture. Okay, $77 billion impact, 1 out of 10 jobs. And when you drive up the interstate, you're watching farm after farm after farm close. The small farms are closing, okay? They're taking a developer or sell out, and everyone's moving to Alabama because we have a great quality of life here. So what you don't see, and well, let me say this, I have 4 children, again, going back to it, and there's so many other different career paths and opportunities that they'll take because they're easier, because farming is hard. It is difficult and it's risky, okay? So if we are not putting that next generation into the field cultivating for us, how are we going to grow our food?
Right.
How are we going to have domestic source of food to take care of us and be self-sufficient as much as we possibly can? That, and I know everyone's passionate about certain things in life, but for me, living in this space, running for this, we should be sounding the red alert of the toilet paper is not here in Target while we're going through COVID and everybody's frantically looking for toilet paper. We should be frantically looking for young farmers and doing what we can to put support systems of success around them.
Yeah, yeah. Have you spoken to the next generation of farmer to see what is keeping them out? Is it a lack of awareness of the opportunity that it presents? Does it look or sound too hard? Is it not sexy? Tell me what their reaction is.
So first and foremost, if they don't have family land or brought up into it or exposed to it, it's cumbersome, okay? So then you go add up the equipment prices, and then when they finally get the farm started, all they really want to do, honestly, is be on the tractor.
Right.
So when they come in, the business side, again, going back to what my mom and dad did, throwing me into the office, throwing me into the books of the company, they're not aware of the new young farmers program. They're not aware of what USDA just released about specialty crop marketing assistant program. And so one of my points on point 5 is a voluntary grant portal. If you want to be a part of the grant portal, what we will do is have a headhunter go to work for you. And we will go find you the grants. You will use the grants, and then the headhunter will close it out. And by the way, I'm all about, my job is to put money into the pockets of our farmers. And one thing you're going to be guaranteed is, and I'm going to brag it to the state of Alabama, how much money we kept here in the state of Alabama, especially to our young farmers, because those dollars matter. And I can tell you, I can say it over and over again. I have farms in Florida, I have farms in Alabama, and I have a farm in operations in Colorado. When these programs come out, and I love talking bad about my brother, and I guess this will be public. Normally I talk bad about my brother when, he really can't track me down, But
this sounds like a perfect sibling rivalry. I love it.
He's a great farmer. He farms so great, and he wants to just be out there in the dirt and smell it. He does not want to be opening a 70-page application through the USDA NRCS and going through what qualifies, how you do the paperwork, close it out, and all of that headache. But me, on the other hand, and by the way, we've done that. Those dollars matter when inflation is soaring, labor costs are going through the roof. The government does set things up, going back to it, just a little bit of seed when you need it, protection, keeping it as much as they can. Those decisions and dollars matter when things matter the most to keep things alive, because you've got so many cyclical things in farming, of harvest season, and then you've got maybe a weather event that comes up, and we don't know what's coming at us. And so being smart, I want to reiterate this, being smart with this office and being smart with our business, with our number one industry, and making good policies and doing this the right way, it will pay off to help that next generation find success and make it where it's attractive.
Yeah.
They go to school going, I can't tell you how many times I'm a farmer, and everybody just kind of looks at me like, you don't look like a farmer. But farming is going to look different in the future. My daughter, she's an accounting major, and she's getting an ag econ minor. I said, that's an incredibly niche, valuable asset for our state and our farmers, because you're learning it to a very specific degree.
Yeah.
So we need to expand the markets, expand ways. And there's going to be some market resets out there of, you saw where China is going back and forth on soybeans. And then you see where Argentina is coming in. So you've got to have a little bit of, and going back to young farmers, a mentor out there who's been there, done that, seen that, to say, hey, look, back in the 80s, this happened, and what you should do is kind of consider this crop over that crop, or pivoting here, or maybe not buying that new tractor, try to use this implement for, and just different things that young farmers just need that extra little attention because there's some things you just can't learn in the classroom.
Are the old farmers you're talking to saying there's nobody to replace me? Do they sound worried?
Yes.
They do sound worried.
Yes.
I've got 5,000 acres of farmland here and nobody on my farm under the age of 40 years old or something like that, which suggests, hey, man, there's going to be a gap in talent. We got to do something.
The average age of the farmer is growing older. And then what's happening is the smaller farmers are selling to the bigger corporations.
Right.
And then the bigger corporations, then you don't have that small business farmer. And then you go have a company sell to China.
Yeah.
And then you're controlled by another country. So we have to protect that small farmer, especially nationwide in the state of Alabama.
Yeah. And the protections are the mentor program, which the grants, et cetera, things of that nature. That are going to allow that small farmer to continue to thrive. This 70 pages of paperwork is going to get done.
Yes. And then also talking about sweet grown Alabama, one way we can drive them more. So a lot of farmers do a B2B model. They don't do a B2C
Let's introduce
model.
Sweet Grown Alabama before we get into it. Tell us what that is, please.
Sweet Grown Alabama is a beautiful brand certification for the state of Alabama. And the Commissioner of Ag serves on the board.
And it already exists. This is not an initiative that you propose.
So if you grow a strawberry and you're in the Sweet Grown Alabama program, if you grow the strawberry, you can brand the strawberry. And that sells to Alabama, that sells to the nation, that sells to the world. Okay, you can brand that and stick that little logo on it, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. So here, let's got something that's really good. Well, let's put some innovation and ingenuity behind it. Let's kind of do what I did with Agritech. And people think that they're doing a soil test with Agritech with Soil Kit. But in fact, they're doing a whole virtual experience with customer insight data. Let's take Sweet Grown Alabama and do that same ingenuity. We have 29 million visitors that are all coming down the arteries of the interstates and roads. Okay, my husband's a bridge builder, so I've watched all of that traffic coming down the road. 29 million. They all land up about Gulf Shores, Orange Beach. And they pull out their wallets and they gladly hand our economy and our revenue money with a smile on their face, okay? But let's make them stop off and take some pit stops down the way. So if they're at, oh my goodness, Tate Farms, the pumpkin experience, they should be aware of that. They have changed their B2B model to a B2B and B2C model. Again, how do we put more money into the pockets of our farmers? Make it an agritourism experience. And by the way, if you're ever around Tate Farms, around the whole fall area, you've got to go see the pumpkin. They've got center pivots that are sprinklers. They've got a carousel. And I think they see 70,000 visitors in a matter of 6 weeks.
No kidding.
It's amazing. The family is wonderful. It's exciting. There's energy. There's smiles. There's giggles everywhere.
Right.
And they're on a farm. Yeah. Okay. So you've got that. So from Tate Farms up in the Huntsville area, come on down to the Coleman and you've got the strawberries. And then, going back a little bit north back to Huntsville, when I stopped there talking about the farmers markets, there's 5 different farmers markets just in that one city. Very fragmented. Well, let's make sure all our tourists know where they can shop locally. If they're coming down for Thanksgiving, they need to know where to buy the collard greens and some black-eyed peas and so forth. Let's make that experience. For every dollar that is spent in our farm communities, 60 cents is going to stay in that community. Mm-hmm. That's powerful to give them a B2C opportunity there.
So the what you envision is some sort of conduit of information to the tourists that are coming north to south, and of course we'll take them the other way too, and say, hey, on your way to Gulf Shores, pull over. There's a farmer's market. There's Tate Farms. There's so the stuff that makes this state so precious in many ways is available to you within a mile or two off the side of the road.
It's so impressive. In Peach Park, I mean, Chilton County, there's so many great things we do. But because agriculture is seasonal and it's fragmented and it creates I'd like to see it as an app. It just creates like a virtual map where you can have, and whenever you're so when I go to any kind of farm tours and I'm in Tennessee, I'm surrounded by like families who are on vacation. And I said, what brought you here to this farm? We were watching goat cheese, I think something be made. She said, we live in New York. My father just finished some radiation treatments. We just wanted to get outside and do something wholesome and put our hands into it. And I said, people come to us, just like you said, this is what makes Alabama precious.
Yeah.
Let's give them that experience.
Does the Department of Agriculture also include timberland?
It does. It does. So it's over timber.
It's over timber and carbon sequestrations and things like this. Is this stuff that you would have a role in as well?
So yes. So especially at the table of discussion, which is helpful for me because I actually entered into Elon Musk X Prize on a carbon sequester project.
Oh, I think I remember this about you.
Yes. Yes. So I'm very familiar with it. And by the way, just so you know, the second thing behind the oceans that sequesters carbon is the soil.
Yeah.
It's the more you can heal soil and keep things planted, and you are restoring and you are continuing to improve that organic matter level. I'd really like to get scientifically junky with you right now, but there's an organic matter level, and the more you heal and restore. So instead of just ripping up your new lawn because you didn't like something, leave it. Let's heal it. Let's go through it. And maybe you have a fungus but as you build the health, you're pulling more and more carbon. And by the way, getting it out of the air is great. Putting it in the soil puts it on fire. That sets the plants on fire. They love carbon, and then they just emit oxygen for us, and we maintain healthy balance.
So there's there's talk about there are too many pine trees in Alabama. I remember my father invested in a lot of land, and it's hunting property, but put a bunch of pine trees out there, and now those pine trees aren't worth what they used to be. We had to cut a bunch due to something he calls pine decline, something along those lines. But it seems like the forestry is also a big part of the state of Alabama. Yes?
Yes. It encompasses probably a majority. If you look at the acreage, it just, I wish I had the numbers for you. I had a little pamphlet on it, but a huge swath of land is with timber. And going back to it, too many timber trees of this, that, and the other. One thing about agriculture, which is why it's important for Alabama to work as a national voice too, we're going to just grow things well here. Certain things, okay? When you're looking at the black belt soils, when you're looking at sandier soils, and you're looking at the different clays, I think we have like 6 different soil groups or 5 different soil groups here in the state of Alabama. Pine trees just really grow great in certain areas of our state.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're talking to Baldwin County, and I'm going to tell you we grow the grass turf grass in the world.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
And so that's why we all have to kind of take care of each other, because sweet potatoes and corn can be grown here, and then potatoes can be grown great there. And we have to work together for the whole system to be right for domesticated supply for us to do.
Do you feel like previous people in this job, in this elected role, have done a good job representing Alabama? Are you stepping in to perpetuate what they've done, or to really change that role?
So interestingly enough, I think all of them have done a great job, best of their skill sets and abilities. Each one of them encountered a different struggle too. So you look at what Rick Pate had to go through with COVID. I mean, unprecedented things and struggles. So each one of the different commissioners encountered certain things. And what I'm preparing for is, I know that when I'm in office, we're going to be looking at some major issues, artificial intelligence, biosecurity issues. So each one of the commissioners are going to have their own sets of battles.
Yeah, and there's no question. There's no question something will come up. We don't exactly know. There will be a crisis. There always is. And how exactly we react to that crisis is yet to be determined. It seems like you have an extraordinary amount of resources. In other words, to use a term that you don't hear much anymore, a thick Rolodex. People that you can call. Your 5 generations of farming have helped that. You're a known name across the state.
Right. I will say this. I couldn't date till after I left Baldwin County. I was related to everyone here. But I go all over the state, and they'll say, well, you don't look like a farmer. And I said, okay, well, I do have the cowboy boots, the cowboy hat, but you're not looking for a commissioner to wear the cowboy hat and drive the tractor. You're looking at me to go to work for you and be smart for you. And I will say this, Trump just appointed Secretary Brooke Rollins, and she is a female, and she doesn't look like your stereotypical farmer, but she is out there dealing with some serious policy issues right now. And she's a phenom. She's a phenomenal person. But going back to it, I get to work nationally. So I have a great Rolodex when it comes to speaking to international agronomists or a cattle farmer or someone in the school industry that I need to ask a question to. I am very blessed. It has been great to have been farming here since 1906.
1906. Yeah. Impressive. Very impressive. Let's shift the conversation a little bit.
Okay.
You were the target of, I'm just going to say it the way I've read it or feel it, some malicious jerk out there targeting you. And as I told you before we started this conversation, there have been 2 candidates in your seat prior to you and 2 former elected officials in this seat that you're in prior to you, all of whom have said they've had death threats. And they say it's just part of the work. And they feel it makes them feel uncomfortable and afraid and terrified for their family and their children, et cetera. And you've had something similar. What can you tell us about this? Even in this role, which I would think is not the most high-profile candidate in the state, you have been targeted. Tell us about it, whatever you can.
Yeah, you're right. So you just don't think somebody running for an ag race is going to be sought after with a predator. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Our team was sent text messages, emails, Facebook Messenger, very sophisticated messages of anything from, I'm sitting outside of church, I see you there with your son, and then describing how he's going to hurt me and my children back at the house. Having that, you immediately, as you're running as a political candidate, your job is to connect to people, reach people, talk to people. But in fact, you begin to almost kind of, I can't hide. I can't hide from people, but you go into a shelter mode of protecting your family and your children. And at the same time, I stepped up and said, this isn't okay. This is not okay. You cannot say these things to me and get away with it. And so I called Chief Lowry. And
who's Chief Lowry?
So Chief Lowry, Hosmack used to be our chief, and now Chief Lowry he's over all of our Baldwin County police.
Yeah.
And so called Chief Lowry, and immediately he stepped up with his team, and we turned everything over. I do work with the FBI on various issues. I called the FBI connections that I had. And because I'll be honest with you, this has to be stopped. I'm all about free speech, Cam. All about free speech. Let's agree to disagree on something. Let me give you my point. But you can't tell me that you're going to come hurt me and my children and not expect me to make a reaction. And that include the police force and to do it to the fullest of my capabilities. But that behavior is just like you said, everyone says, oh, well, you're running politics, you should expect this. No, I don't expect someone to sit outside of church waiting on me to come out to harm me. No, that will be dealt with.
And I don't think that that's right to expect that. I don't think it's right that we should say, you threw your hat in the ring, so a predator outside of church is what you've chosen. That makes no sense at all. Mm-hmm. That makes no sense at all. What did they learn about this person who was targeting you?
So he had done this to multiple people. I actually had people in the community reach out that it was the same person in their story. And I got a lot of emotional. I've had this happen to me, but I don't know what to do about it. Yeah. I don't know how to stop it. And so they found out that his identity had been compromised, I think 20 some odd times, had been in prison multiple times. And every time something happens, a new identity, a new profile shows up. So it's eerie to know that if you don't get this under control as a society, this will turn into organized crime where people will just target candidates to try to scare them out and come after with no consequences. And so we have to stop the predators. This is not okay. And actually, this was before Charlie Kirk. It was after Trump's attempted assassination, which someone passed away in that crowd that day. But it was also before Charlie Kirk. People cannot continue to escalate violence.
Right. You said this person has targeted other women before too. Mm-hmm. Was his motive the same with them as it was with you? Do you have any idea?
I would assume so.
Did he want to knock you out of the race? Did he want to keep you from getting out and campaigning? Was he doing this to help another candidate? What was his motive?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, which is really strange. I think that's what's most concerning is you can't truly figure out all of the details and connect the dots on that of what his true motive was.
Was he doing other women at the same time as he was doing it you, or is he fixated exclusively on you at that time?
I don't know. I know they found a bunch of stuff, but I don't know. I had other women. The only thing I was really told are the other women that stepped up and said, I filed a police report in Mobile County on him also.
Yeah.
So I honestly found out other information from other women who stepped up about it.
Where is he now?
Out.
Yeah. You're kidding.
No, so he didn't plead guilty. He pled not guilty, which gave him a higher time to go in jail. So then he just assumed guilt and got out in like 3 days.
3 days?
I think 3, maybe 5.
So he can stand outside or sit outside your church while you're in there worshiping with your children, make threats to you and tell you what he's going to do to you once you get home. And it becomes a minor inconvenience to his weekly schedule because he's held for 2 to 3 days in the jail. Mm-hmm. And we're good with that.
That's where our system stands.
Oh. I'm sorry that happened to you, Christina. You didn't deserve that.
But if you show up with a bodyguard to an event running for an ag race,
what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you're in a lengthy black SUV and you're running for an ag commissioner. It just doesn't fit the bill.
Right.
I can see the challenge there.
And what's interesting, I don't know what chose the ag race because I went and asked, Caroline Dobson, I went and asked Pamela Casey, other females in the race, are you having any problems? No. I'm like, well, maybe be on guard.
Yeah.
He came right after me, right out of the gate, immediately.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sorry that happened. I wish I should apologize for our whole system. I don't know that I have the authority to do so, but I am sorry that happened. That's bad news. What's next for you? Let's change the subject matter. What's next for you? You've got how many months till the election, till the first election? Tell me what your schedule looks like between now and then. What does your life look like right now?
So primaries are May 19th. So as you can imagine, everything's building up to the primary. So for the next couple weeks, so I will be on the road constantly. I'm speaking to a lot of Republican women group. As you can imagine, 50% of the vote on that day is women. Yeah. And on a primary, I'm running the Republican primary, and Alabama has never gotten behind a female ag commissioner. So when I get to go speak to the women, I relate to them because they understand what it's like having a child eat at the public school cafeteria. Yeah. They want you to protect them from China. They want you to be smart. So I am hitting as many Republican women as I can. I'm getting invited to Thanksgiving feast at Wetumpka for the future farmers of America. Yeah. So I get to do fun things, and then I get to go to, my objective is this is a statewide race. So as I hit the main groups like Republican women, I also want to touch communities where people are having their lives, and I can be there in their lives to understand what's going on. Again, I would have never realized that rotisserie chicken was not on the SNAP program if I wasn't visiting with poultry farmers. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm not going into the public school cafeterias. So my objective is, I'll be honest with you, I put about 1,500 miles on my car a week. And my job is to hit as many people and events in 67 counties as I can. Now, you talk to anybody else, they're going to say fundraise, 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 and just do what you can to fundraise. I'm doing my best to kind of balance, but political campaigns, statewide. Yeah. They're running.
You envy people running in Rhode Island right now, don't you? You could hold your breath and drive across the entire state.
I have I think I'm going to release a little meme video. I look at the NASA spaceship once a week. And one night I looked at it at 8:00 at night, but it's easier for me to drive late at night. And then I'll put my head down in bed at 3 a.m. and then start the day all over again. Because if you do it during the day, you got too much traffic and other different, especially if it's a Friday and the traffic and so forth. So I just look at that NASA spaceship and I'm like, it's
up in Huntsville. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there I am again. Yeah, I'm all the way up here again. Yeah,
Research Park.
Yeah, and it wouldn't look quite good either if you have a private plane taking you these places, would it? That's not the image you want.
We're trying to, the bodyguards and the other things.
Yeah, exactly. So you said you've been kind of gearing yourself up for a campaign for a while. You've been looking for the opportunity to run in a place that you could make a difference and that you knew that you could succeed in that job. You've identified this. Do you see a life in political service for you after this? Regardless of what happens in May, mm-hmm. You say, I got elected, or I won the primary, or I didn't. Is political service a part of the rest of your life?
So when Mayor Kennan of Orange Beach asked me to be on the Planning and Zoning Commission, I thought he was crazy. I had a sweet job. I enjoyed what I did. I loved being community involved. He said, no, he said, you understand development. You understand a lot of things behind the business. You need to be a part of this. And I loved it. I loved being a public service. I would leave work at 2:00 on planning and zoning days, skipping and stay till like 8, 10 o'clock, just listening to everything. Because in the city of Orange Beach, there's always an open mic and you can stay there as long as you want.
Yeah.
And they take them up on that offer. But so I knew then. And so now the way I'm looking at it from here is I want to get into the Commissioner of Ag, use my skill sets to do the best job that just, because for me, there's so many low hanging fruit opportunities in agriculture that we can move forward. Like again, looking at University of Florida opening an AI, ag, the whole institute. Okay. Looking at where we can move in the forward. And when I look at you at the end of 8 years, I'm going to say, this is what I'm good at.
Right.
Now, where else can you put me?
Right.
You know, so, but you're going to know what I'm good at. And then I want to go use that to do something really great.
Yeah. Well, you've got my support and my backing, and I'm grateful somebody with your energy and your enthusiasm is out there trying to win this race, to do the right thing. Even after that extraordinary experience of being intimidated by this guy, you're continuing, it seems like, doubling down.
Right.
And that was bad. It was scary. It was unfortunate, but it's not going to hold me back. And that takes a lot of resolve to get through that like you have. So good for you. That's not easy.
Luckily, I will say this, the family has been very gracious too. I mean, you know, because you got to think, my husband and 4 children were targets. I mean, the pictures that were getting sent in the drive were of my children.
Yeah.
You know, so they were a clear target. And I didn't show my husband for the longest time. And then when we had to go to court, all the evidence was laying there. Whew, it was not easy watching your spouse see someone come after your children like that all over an ag race. So I'm very appreciative. My family is also passionate about this with me because it's important. They're carrying some burdens on this also. Yeah,
I suspect that they are. They've got deep worries, just perhaps like you do. And I suspect there's a message that we can give to listeners to say, hey, if there's somebody out there that's kind of behaving a little bit odd and talking perhaps a little bit too much about a candidate, that you think they may be a little bit slightly unhinged, that maybe you should pick up the phone and call somebody. It's like the signs we see in the airport. If you see something, say something. Well, if there's somebody out there that's being a little odd, let's put the public officials' attention on them before it's too late. I mean, it's crazy what it's gotten to out there, and we can sit around and complain about it and say it's not like it used to be, or we can get involved, get a little bit active in some way that protects people like you.
Because what happens is if we're not protecting good people to step up in a safe way to run for politics, we are going to end up with the wrong politician making the wrong decisions that, and especially in this case, impacts every Alabamian every day.
It's the message that I've had from nearly everybody in that chair. We need to do more than we're doing now to encourage good people to run and to protect them once they've stepped up. And it's a common theme. It really is. And I'm grateful, again, that someone like you has chosen to do so. That's great. Final comments, thoughts, anything. Do you? How can people find out more about you? For sure, we want to talk about that.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so number 1, go like my Facebook page. Number 2, vote May 19th. And number 3, reach out on the website, McInnis for Alabama. We would love a donation. We would love you to follow along. But here's the funny thing. Here's why you've got to go follow the Facebook page. So again, going back to my kids are doing this journey with me. As you read the comments, they kind of call me out. And
your own kids do?
Yes.
That's exactly what we need is our children telling the truth about us.
I mean, I ended up on stage at Rock the South, and then I went to Coleman, bought a bunch of strawberries, and Georgia came home from finals. The strawberries had been eaten, and she didn't come to me at it. She just went straight to Facebook and made a comment. My mother ate all of the Coleman strawberries and didn't save any for her children.
That's great. Yeah. She's taking it right to the source.
I kind of think they follow the page just to see what my kids say.
Yeah, that's awesome. Facebook page, the website, there's a place to donate on the website, and keeping an eye out for you. You've got some great ads that I've seen out there. Folks, her website has a lot of good content. I was on it prior to her coming to the studio to begin this conversation. Christina Woerner McInnis, best of luck to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Cam. Appreciate it.
We'll wrap up after this break. You're listening to What's Working. Be right back. Hi, I'm Cam Marston. Many business leaders like you are facing declining sales, high turnover, low morale, all because of poor communication. That's why I created the Generational Insights Communications Academy. The Academy trains your leaders to communicate effectively with anyone in any situation, helping you build the thriving company you deserve. Learn more and enroll today at cammarston.com/GICA. You can find out more about Christina at McInnis for Alabama, spelled MCINNIS for Alabama.com. She has been on the podcast before. She created a really thought-provoking product. She referred to it a couple of times during our interview today, where you can test your soil. And I did it for myself, found out the reason my hydrangeas weren't blooming, and we changed the soil based on the results of that test and did indeed see some results from that. Christina seems to be a thoughtful, intelligent, certainly, candidate, and not one that's going on, like she said, cowboy boots and tractors, but one that's going on a thoughtful approach to being the Commissioner for Agriculture. And I wish her the best. I've always been a fan, very charismatic, very intelligent, very thoughtful, and I wish her the best. Find more at McInnisforAlabama.com. That'll be it for What's Working this week. Please send me your feedback, CAM at cammarston.com. Let me know what you're thinking. Love to hear from you. We'll have another show next week.